Good morning, students. Hope you are at home and you are quite safe. Today, we will discuss about the remaining topics of human capital formation in India. Dear students, we have already discussed about what is human capital, how it is different from financial capital and physical capital. Then we discussed about the determinants or sources of human capital and the role of human capital formation in growth process of a country. Let's start the next topics. The very first, this is very important, chain effect of human capital formation. It is also known as virtuous circle of human capital formation. Human capital formation in a country leads to better utilization of physical capital because human capital means the skilled workforce can better utilize the machinery, and because of better and fuller utilization of machines or physical capital, there is increase in productivity that will further increase in growth, and increased growth will lead to higher rate of participation. Higher rate of participation means more involvement of people, more involvement of skilled people in growth process, and the result will be higher level of income of the individuals and households, and this increased income will lead to higher expenditure on education and health. Education and health, these are very important determinants of human capital. That's why there will further increase in stock of human capital. So with the increase in human capital, a virtuous circle in the economy begins. That is, human capital formation leads to increase in further stock of human capital. Got it, beta? Now, we will discuss about the problems of human capital formation. In this, we will discuss about rising population. Rapidly rising population adversely affects the quality of human capital. This is because it reduces per head availability of the existing facilities relating to housing, sanitation, drainage, water system, hospitals, education, power supply, etc. In fact, because of rising population, the facilities and opportunities that are available gets nullified, means due to increased population, maintenance investment is quite high and the expenditure on facilities or opportunities remain quite low. We will discuss further that in India the expenditure on education and health is not according to the norms, that is, it is quite less as compared to the required. Means this is only because of the rising population in India. Increased population or explosive growth of population is one of the biggest challenge for all the economic as well as social issues. Now, second is the brain drain. As we have already discussed, that brain drain refers to a migration of people, that is skilled or trained or educated people, to developed countries in search of better opportunities, and it is a serious threat to the process of human capital formation in the country. In fact, the skill development or the development of caliber among people requires a huge expenditure, and when the persons get skilled and they are expected to contribute in the growth process of the country, they start migrating to the other countries. This is a serious threat for a country. Now, what's about the deficient manpower? Not enough efforts have been made to maintain the demand supply balance of the ever rising labor force in the country. As a result, India is facing an explosive problem relating to graduate unemployment. In fact, in India, supply of labor force, supply of workforces, supply of labor is quite high as compared to the demand, and no efforts have been made in order to utilize this available labor supply. Means demand is still very low as compared to the supply, and there should be a balance between demand and supply of labor in order to reduce unemployment rate in our country. But still in India, manpower planning proper or efficient planning is still a greater challenge. Now, this is insufficient on the job training. Primary sector, particularly agriculture, is the backbone of Indian economy, but unfortunately, it has not received due attention in the area of professional skills. Here, it should be kept in mind that on the job training is very, very important because it leads to upgradation or updation of the available techniques. But in India, there is quite shortage of on the job training, especially in primary sector and further in public sector. Again, on the job training is a big challenge. Then low academic standard. Still in India, about 30%, more than 30% population is illiterate, and this large proportion of illiterates leads to less development of skill among people. Consequently, we have a large army of half-baked people, half-baked graduates and postgraduates whose deficient skills only lowers the level of efficiency or productivity. Now, what's about the education sector? Education implies the process of learning at three levels, that is primary, secondary and higher level of education. It is a wider term than literacy. Literacy just refers to the ability to read and write, whereas education is the process of gaining knowledge and developing necessary skills to participate in the growth process of a country. In fact, education is a wider concept that is related with acquiring knowledge, and this is a long lasting process, means this is a process of ever learning. Now, importance of education. Education is very, very important because it helps in developing necessary skills essential for the smooth functioning of the economy. It develops mental horizon of the masses and helps in promoting rational thinking of the people. It enables greater participation of the people in the growth process of economy. Greater participation means the job opportunities are available for the people who are skilled, who are educated, who are well trained. By promoting education, social levels can be eradicated and advancement in thoughts and actions can be achieved. Dear students, it is very, very important to acquire education because education changes our mental horizon. Education makes us rational, that is, it helps us to develop the ability to choose right and wrong. Further, it helps us to increase a scientific attitude in our personality. It leads to overall development of our personality. Dear students, when you are when you talk to an educated person, you can, and further an illiterate person, you can better understand the difference between these two. एक एजुकेटेड पर्सन के साथ बात करते हुए आप उसकी पर्सनालिटी को बहुत अच्छे से समझते हो, और एक इलिटरेट को देखते हुए भी आप समझ जाओगे कि दोनों में से कौन आपकी बात को समझ पा रहा है. अभी हम कोविड-19 के फेज़ में से निकल रहे हैं. इस टाइम ज़रूरी नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट हमें इस चीज़ के लिए फ़ोर्स करे कि हमें सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन करनी है या हमें मास्क पहनना है, लेकिन हम बहुत बार देखते हैं कि बहुत सारे लोग मास्क नहीं पहनते या सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन नहीं करते. तो 135 करोड़ से ज़्यादा पॉपुलेशन है इंडिया में. क्या हर बंदे को, हर आदमी को एक पुलिस पर्सन, उसके साथ पुलिसमैन हर आदमी के साथ चले कि आपने कब अपना मास्क नहीं पहना हुआ या आप सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन नहीं कर रहे? ये एजुकेटेड लोग हैं जो इनको फॉलो करते हैं, और जो नहीं कर रहे मीन्स दे आर नॉट एक्सेप्टिंग, दे आर नॉट adapting the things around them. And education is very important to to enhance our mental horizon. Education helps to develop a scientific attitude in a person. So, dear students, try to be a part of educated lobby, means try to acquire knowledge as much as you can. Now, need for government intervention in education sector. this sector needs huge investment with a very high fixed expenditure. That's why it was very, very essential for the government to again shoulder the burden of providing education to the people. The very first, because the sector needs huge investment. Secondly, to bring uniformity in the education system. We have the CBSE board, we have the ICSE board, or even state boards. Means there should be a uniform system of providing education. That's why government, it was needed to interfere government in education sector. Then people in a poor country like India cannot afford high price for education, and this high price means the privatization of education sector. It is difficult to expect private investors to invest in education unless they are allowed to recover their huge costs through high prices of these services. And in a poor country like India, it is very difficult for poor people to afford high price for education. Long gestation period means gap between the expenditure and return. बहुत ज़्यादा इनिशियल स्टेज से ही सरकार को एक्सपेंडिचर पर खर्च बहुत ज़्यादा एजुकेशन पर खर्च करना पड़ता है और उसका रिटर्न काफ़ी लंबे टाइम बाद आता है. तो ये एक जेस्टेशन पीरियड इसमें बहुत बड़ा होता है. इसी गवर्नमेंट को इंटरवेन करना पड़ा किसमें, एजुकेशन सेक्टर में. आई थिंक इट इज़ वेरी मच क्लियर टू यू. Now we will discuss about growth of education sector in India. The very first, expansion of general education. During the plans, the number of educational institutions providing elementary education has increased roughly by 5 times, and the number of students has increased tenfold. The literacy rate has increased to about 75% in 2011 as against 18% in the year 1951. Dear students, try to learn data in order to support your question. So you can very much understand that literacy rate in India is now approximately 75%, and during 1947 it was just 16%, and in the year 1951 it was around 18%. So it shows a remarkable growth in education sector. Now we will discuss primary, secondary and higher education separately. The very first, the Indian government lays emphasis to primary education up to the age of 14 years. This is 6 to 14 years. 80% of all recognized schools at the elementary stage are government run or supported, making it the largest provider of education in the country. Figures released by the government in 2011 show that there were more than 60 lakh elementary schools teachers in India. Education has also been made free for children for 6 to 14 years of age group up to class 8 under the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009. We will discuss RTE 2009 in later phase of the chapter. The current scheme for universalization of education for all is the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, which is one of the largest education initiatives in the world. Means primary sector or primary education covers the education up to class 8th and the age group of 6 to 14 years. Now, educational sector in India, secondary education. Secondary education covers children 14 to 18, which covers 88.5 million children according to the census 2001. India's secondary school system is its emphasis on profession-based vocational training to help the students attain skill for finding the vocation of his/her choosing. Here we are going to discuss about vocationalization of education or vocational education. बच्चे, vocational education is the process of providing training or skill among the students along with normal course of study in order to make them proficient or trained in the profession of their interest or of their choice. It is very very important in Indian context because it helps the students to develop skill among them and to create self employment opportunities. Means बच्चों को पढ़ाई के साथ साथ नॉर्मल कोर्स ऑफ सिलेबस के साथ साथ ट्रेनिंग प्रोवाइड की जाए कुछ प्रोफेशनल कोर्सेज़ के लिए, ताकि बच्चे अपने आप को बाद में सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड भी कर सके। मीन्स ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वो वाइट कॉलर जॉब के लिए या गवर्नमेंट जॉब की वेट करें। अगर वो प्रोफिशेंट हो गए हैं तो अपने लिए एम्प्लॉयमेंट अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ खुद जनरेट कर सकते हैं। बहुत सारे ऐसे बच्चे हैं जो कुकिंग में बहुत अच्छे होते हैं, बहुत सारे ऐसे बच्चे हैं जिनकी ड्राइंग बहुत अच्छी होती है, या प्लम्बिंग का काम कर सकते हैं, इलेक्ट्रीशियन का काम कर सकते हैं, पोट्री मेकिंग का काम कर सकते हैं। तो उनको साइड बाय साइड ऐसी ट्रेनिंग दी जाए, उनको कंप्यूटर्स की ट्रेनिंग दी जाए। इंडियन इकॉनमी को हम नॉलेज इकॉनमी में कन्वर्ट करने का एक गवर्नमेंट का प्लान है। नॉलेज इकॉनमी, नॉलेज हब बनाने का एक प्लान है, और इसी के लिए वोकेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ एजुकेशन का एक प्रोसेस, एक सिस्टम इंडिया में अडॉप्ट किया गया है। एंड दिस इज़ वेरी वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स बिकॉज इट हेल्प्स टू reduce the unemployment rate and it helps the students to generate self-employment opportunities. Now, next, a special integrated education for disabled children programs was started in 1974 with a focus on primary education. The government started the Kendriya Vidyalaya project in 1965 to provide uniform education in institutions following the same syllabus at the same pace regardless of the location to which the employee's family has been transferred. Means Kendriya Vidyalayas are very beneficial for the children of transferable employees. Here it is worth mentioning that DAV schools are providing same opportunities for the students. बच्चे DAV स्कूल के सभी बच्चों के अक्रॉस द कंट्री यूनिफॉर्म सेम होती है, बुक्स सेम होती हैं, और लेसन प्लानिंग तक भी हमारा सेम होता है। मतलब सिलेबस डिवीज़न भी ऑलमोस्ट सेम होता है कि अगर एक बच्चे को DAV फतेहाबाद से DAV चंडीगढ़ जाना पड़ता है या DAV दिल्ली जाना पड़ता है तो उसको दिक्कत नहीं आती। मीन्स DAV schools are providing the same benefits that are provided by the Kendriya Vidyalayas to the children of the transferable employees. Similarly, in 1987-88, Navodaya Vidyalayas were established to impart modern education of good standard to talented students of rural areas. These schools provide बोर्डिंग फैसिलिटीज़ टू द स्टूडेंट्स। अपने फतेहाबाद में आसपास नवोदय विद्यालय हैं, जवाहर नवोदय विद्यालय, और ये रूरल यूथ के लिए हैं, रूरल स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, टैलेंटेड स्टूडेंट्स के लिए हैं। सो in this secondary and senior secondary education shows remarkable growth. Now, what's about the higher education? India's higher education system is the third largest in the world after China and the United States. The main governing body at the tertiary level is the University Grants Commission, which enforces their standards, advises the government, and helps coordinate between the center and the state. Some institutions of India, such as the Indian Institutes of Technology, Undergraduate Education and Engineering, 6 Indian Institutes of Technology, and the Birla Institutes of Technology and Science, Pilani, were listed among the top 20 schools of business situated in Hyderabad, was ranked among 12 in global MBA ranking by the Financial Times of London in 2010, while the All India Institutes of Medical Science has been recognized as a global leader in medical research and treatment. Yes, our next topic is vocational education. Vocational education is very important for building skilled workforce to meet growing demand of a developing country. Percentage of students applying for vocational education in India is less than 20% compared to developed countries where it is more than 50%. From this very information, we conclude that the scope of vocational education is quite low in India. Government ITIs and private ICTs offers 110 courses under conventional vocational education, including engineering and non-engineering courses. Now, what's about the issue? First, this is action taken, then bottlenecks and suggestions. Now, role of private players. Action taken, scheme for upgradation, bottlenecks, scheme structuring and review of schemes. Now, embedding with formal education, state option available, central schemes in progress, low awareness and non-upgradation are the bottlenecks. And what are the suggestions? Invite views of private players, appoint PMCs. Now, upgradation of courses, no specific action has been taken, not updated as per the industry requirements, inputs from industry professionals. Means what vocational education we have already studied. This is a system in which with a regular course of study, vocational trainings or skills are provided. These are provided in private ITIs, it means private setup, then with formal education sector and upgradation of courses. But in all the three levels, there are some bottlenecks. So it is very, very important to remove these bottlenecks and to get the benefits of vocational education, because vocational education are very, very important in Indian context. Now, what's about the technical, medical and agricultural education? Presently, there are more than 3,500 recognized engineering colleges running degree level courses in different disciplines. The number of medical colleges has increased to more than 300. Many research centers have also been set up in the country. For example, IITs, Agricultural Research Institutes, Indian Statistical Institutes, National Physical Laboratories, etc. In rural areas, community polytechnics have been set up to spread technical education in rural youth. So, what we conclude, during the planning process, there is wonderful and remarkable improvement in technical, medical and agricultural education along with the research centers, especially uh, in rural areas. Community polytechnics have been set up to spread technical education. So this indicates again the growth of education sector in India. Now, few more concepts. These are the rural education. Dear students, as we know that a larger proportion of India's population is residing in rural areas. Our next chapter is related with rural development. We will discuss about the action plan that has been taken for the upliftment of rural areas. But now we are just discussing about the National Rural Higher Education Council that has been set up for providing education in rural areas. The children of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes get free education in all the states. This is again a very excellent plan for developing or for spreading education in rural areas. Now, adult and female education, again it is a far cry, because formal education program has been launched to provide meaningful education to the youth of age group of 15 to 25 years. Now, Women Education Council has been established to promote education among women. In later course of the syllabus, we will discuss that the contribution of female proportion in participation, means workforce, in participation or workforce is quite low. It is because of the lack of literacy and skill among the people. That's why in order to encourage female to participate in growth process, Women Education Council has been established to promote education among women. Now, this is about the total literacy campaign, again a very important concept. National Literacy Mission was launched to provide literacy in the country. This program has now been recast as Sakshar Bharat with the central focus on female education. Dear students, you are to learn total literacy campaign, total literacy, National Literacy Mission and its new name as Sakshar Bharat. The program covers all those in the age group of 15 and above. In short, as a result of persistent efforts during the independence period, the number of literates has increased fourfold. The number of schools and the number of students has increased many times. So this is all about the growth of education sector in India after 1951. Now, here is one more important question. This is Right to Education 2009, popularly known as RTE. Now, in the year 2009, the Government of India has brought about an act called RTE. It promotes free and compulsory education to all. It makes education a matter of right to all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years. Dear students, you are to learn that RTE covers the children of the age group of 6 to 14 years. It is hoped that RTE will transform dreams into reality by offering basic education to all free of cost. This is very, very important topic. RTE was enacted in the year 2009. Now, few important terms are there like NCERT. The full form of NCERT is National Education Research and Training. And what is its function? It is basically engaged in designing text material up to senior secondary level. You can better understand that your books are issued by NCERT. Now, UGC, University Grants Commission. It is the funding authority for university education. It also enforces the rules and regulations regarding higher education to the country. Now, AICTE, this is All India Council of Technical Education, and its function is to enforce rules and regulations regarding technical engineering education. Then ICMR, this is Indian Council for Medical Research. It enforces rules and regulations relating to education and research in the health centers. Dear students, you are to learn all the full forms as well as their functioning. Now, growth in government expenditure on education. The expenditure by the government on education is expressed in two ways. First, as a percentage of total government expenditure, as a percentage of gross domestic product. Now, the Education Commission had recommended that at least 6% of GDP be spent on education so as to make a noticeable rate of growth in educational achievement. Dear students, you should keep in your mind that at least 6% of GDP should be spent on education. In 2009, the Government of India enacted the Right of Education Act. Government of India has also started levying a 2% education cess on all union taxes. The revenue from the education cess has been earmarked for spending on elementary education, which here it is to be noted that current level of a little over 4% has been quite inadequate. This is a major challenge that at least 6% of GDP is required to spend on education sector, but in India little over 4% has been spent and it is not adequate at all. You should keep in your mind the recommended is 6% of GDP and actual is 4% of GDP. Along with this 2% education cess, keep in your mind 2% education cess on all union taxes. Now, move to the next topic. This is about challenge in education, means why education sector, why education in India is still a challenge. High illiteracy rate. As per 2011 census, the literacy rate is just 74%. Nearly 20% of the children in the age group of 6 to 14 years are still not going to school. UNESCO report 37% of illiterate adults in the world are Indians, means a very big proportion of illiterates reside in India. Now, what's about the other major challenges? First is the gender bias. Still, female literacy is a challenge. Abhi bhi only the male child is preferred for education and female child is ignored about her education. This is a very you can say this is a big issue or big social challenge also. Now, lack of vocational training, as we have studied, we have already discussed that vocational training, vocational education is very important in Indian context, but its scope is very limited because of the bottlenecks and because of less expenditure incurred in education sector. Now, low standard of education. Our education system is quite defaulty. Every year, a large army of unemployed educated is generated, means पढ़े लिखे ऐसे लोग जो सिर्फ वाइट कॉलर जॉब पाना चाहते हैं, लेकिन उनके पास ग्रेजुएट भी होते हैं, पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट भी होते हैं, लेकिन वो ट्रेन नहीं होते, एजुकेटेड नहीं होते, प्रोफिशिएंसी नहीं होती. दैट्स वाई दे आर नॉट एबल टू get government jobs or jobs, as well as they are not able to get self-employment opportunities. So this is again a very big issue, that our education system is quite defaulty. Now, insufficient government expenditure. In the previous slide we have already discussed that 6%, at least 6% of GDP is required, but in India it is only 4%. Now, privatization of education. बच्चे, privatization of education is a boom as well as a bane. First, we will discuss about a boom. It is a boom because it is providing a support to the government sector. हमने पढ़ा कि इंडिया में गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले कर रहा है इन स्प्रेडिंग एजुकेशन, बट the quality in government schools is comparatively low, and further, as government is making less expenditure than the required, that's why is not capable to provide education, adequate education facilities. So here comes the role of private sector. Private sector is providing excellent education और excellent quality education to the students. आपने इसमें देखा एक गवर्नमेंट स्कूल और एक प्राइवेट स्कूल के दोनों के सिस्टम में, दोनों की क्वालिटी में बहुत ज़्यादा फ़र्क होता है. तो अगर हम यहाँ से पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट देकर देखें तो गवर्नमेंट की बर्डन को कम कर रहा है प्राइवेट सेक्टर इन एजुकेशन. और इसी तरह से अगर हम और देखें, बेटर क्वालिटी भी इसमें आ रही है. लेकिन अगर हम इसका ड्रॉबैक देखें, द एजुकेशन इन प्राइवेट sector is quite expensive and it is not affordable by a large number of people, large number of poor people, because in India poverty rate is quite high. So privatization of education is again a major issue in regard of education. Now, low access level in rural areas. In rural areas there is disparity, means most of the schools are located in urban areas. There is lack of schools, lack of educational institutes in rural areas. So there is a difference between the accessibility of academics or education in rural areas. Now, education for all still a distant dream. Gender equality better than before. Future prospects of education. We are going to discuss about the future prospects of education. Education for all. It is hoped that it was expected that by the end of 2020 there will be 100% literacy, but still it is a distant dream. Then gender equality. It is continuously improving. It is better than before, but a long way to go. Then higher education. Only a few takers are there. In India, the number of dropouts is very high. लोग अपनी पढ़ाई बीच में छोड़ देते हैं. ये एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है. बच्चे लेते हैं एडमिशन, लेकिन अपनी पढ़ाई को पूरा किए बिना उसको छोड़ देते हैं. सो हायर एजुकेशन, दिस इज़ जस्ट अ फ्यू टेकर्स. विद दिस योर टॉपिक इज़ completed. Now what's about your homework? Do revise your chapter thoroughly and please send me your doubts. Dear students, with this the topic is complete, means the human capital formation is over. Dear students, revise this properly. Enjoy your day. Have a wonderful day. Stay home. Stay safe.